Tantor Audio presents Bound by Elisabeth Naughton. Narrated by Elizabeth Wiley. I must wrestle through time told by thousands of years, for the new king of gods hath contrived for me bondage thus shameful. Aeschylus, Prometheus Bound. Chapter 1. Anxiety was a bitch he did not have the patience to deal with. Nerves danced in Titus's stomach as he scanned the satellite image illuminated by the virtual screen in his suite of rooms at the castle in Argolia. The forest outside the Mesos colony in Montana was as quiet as ever. No movement, nothing out of the ordinary, no sign of her. But just thinking about finding her, about touching her again, made his whole body vibrate as if on the edge of a precipice. He curled his fingers into his palm, pulled his shaking arm back, and covered his fist with his free hand before he could switch screens. Think logically, damn it. His heart raced, his adrenaline surged. If there was one skill he'd mastered over the years, it was control. Control over his body, his gift, even those around him. When he reacted impulsively, when he leapt without thinking, when he allowed his emotions to rule his actions, those were the times he got into trouble. Those were the moments that had led to his curse. Common sense told him the Argonauts were growing suspicious as to why he'd been holed up in his room for days. His "I still feel like crap after getting my ass handed to me by Griffin" excuse wasn't going to fly much longer. If he didn't pull his shit together soon, he was only going to create more worry. And yet... He looked back at the image, reached out, and switched screens. To his disappointment, Melia's beach house on Vancouver Island sat as empty as it had when he and the others had left it days ago. Scotta! He leaned back in his chair, scowled, called himself 100 different kinds of stupid. He was starting to think she was a figment of his imagination. Except every time he remembered the heat that had rolled off her when she'd been close, and the feel of her skin against his when they'd touched, his entire body grew hard with an intensely deep craving he couldn't explain, even to himself. She was real, and she was out there somewhere. The first person he'd been able to touch in over 100 years. A knock sounded at the door. Titus jerked forward, barely able to kill the virtual screen before the heavy wood door to his room pushed in. "Hey, T-Man!" Phineas's Argonaut brother regarded him with speculation. "They're gathering downstairs already. What's taking you so long? Theron's wondering what the fuck is up with you." Phineas's unspoken words hit Titus hard. Even though the others knew he could read minds, they didn't always filter their thoughts around him or contain them in time. Damn it, the trouble was already starting. Theron, the leader of their brotherhood, had made it crystal clear to Titus back at the half-breed colony that this mystery woman was of no use to their cause. If he found out Titus had spent the last 3 days searching for her, he'd be more than pissed. He'd be downright livid. And since Theron had the strength of Heracles on his side, a livid Theron was never a good thing. Titus grasped his leather gloves from the desk where he'd been working and forcibly slowed down his breathing. Just the thought of her, Natasa, burned a line of wicked heat straight to his groin. "Finishing up some work. They all set?" Phineas leaned his broad shoulder against the doorframe and waited, while Titus pushed out of his chair and reached for his leather breastplate, the one stamped with the seal of his forefather Odysseus, from the couch at his side. "Yeah, the council's assembled and the rest of the Argonauts are there, all except Griffin. He's waiting with Melia. Tense as shit down there in that room, I gotta tell you, especially with Nick hanging in the shadows." Titus hated getting dressed up, but this was one of those rare occasions where he and the others just had to deal. Tonight was the official celebration marking the death of the goddess Atalanta. The female who'd made it her life mission to destroy Argolia
Sample complete. Ready to continue?